Yeah, well, we just got some bridge there. Talk for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. Just normal tone of voice, normal volume, talking. A little louder?
Yeah,
a little louder?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just his mic. Yeah. Sounds good to me. Yeah. Okay.
Look at him.
Look at the red. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, look somewhere over there. Could you give us your name first? So we have it on
Lieutenant Eric Bonomi.
Spell them.
Oh, E-R-I-C. Last name is B-O-N-O-M-I.
All right, so tell us what happened, what transpired yesterday.
Yesterday around 4 p.m., the air station here in Clearwater got notified of a downed helicopter in about 50 miles southeast of St. Petersburg in the Fort Meade area of Florida, middle of the state. About 30 minutes afterwards, we launched, got on scene and identified two helicopters down in a marshy area, very muddy, marshy area, with both pilots and no other occupants on scene. We proceeded to execute a litter hoist of one of the patients who was more injured, and then a direct rescue swimmer recovery of the other patient. We brought them both to Tampa General, and about 2 hours later, we'll be back on deck here in St. Petersburg.
Who was the gentleman in the yellow hat that went down first?
That was a rescue swimmer, and you'll be able to talk to him here momentarily.
So was it water that was down there? Like, how can you describe what the terrain was like?
As a pilot, I was up front flying the helicopter, so I did not actually descend down into the marshy area, and you'll be able to get that directly from a rescue swimmer shortly, but it was very, very muddy, very marshy, almost to the point of being quicksand.
So you as the pilot, what were the challenges flying into this area, being that prior to you flying over there were two other aircrafts that had just had a hard landing?
Sure, yes, two other helicopters, one sheriff helicopter and one civilian gyroplane had impacted the terrain in that vicinity 2 and 1 hours respectively prior to our arrival on scene. There were a couple other helicopters in the vicinity that we had to deconflict with. Weather was ideal on scene, and there's just some low towers and power lines we had to contend with, but nothing significant.
How is this different than what you guys normally do? Like, you guys normally over water rescue people.
Yes, sir.
Going over rough terrain like that. Talk about the difference.
There are definitely some differences. Just with respect from a pilot's perspective of obstacles, terrain, towers, other aircraft, it's much busier over the middle of the state. Generally, the Coast Guard's primary search and rescue response is in the maritime environment, responding to either individuals in the water or vessels in the water. And so this was a little bit different, and mostly those obstacles are the biggest thing, and other aircraft traffic.
How long did this rescue take?
The rescue itself, we were on scene for just under an hour, and a lot of that time is involved with briefing as a crew, identifying what types of hoists we need to accomplish to safely get the two pilots in this case out of the marsh, how we're going to do it, and also deconflicting with the other aircraft nearby.
You said usually you guys are over water and everything, but how do you guys train over land? How's the training different?
Yes, sir. The training is, to be honest with you, it's actually the same. The types of hoists that we perform over water are identical to the ones we do over land. We use the same equipment and the same devices. In this case, the litter that we use to pick up the one more injured pilot is the exact same litter we would use if we were picking someone up off of a vessel who had some sort of spinal injury or something like that. It's the same equipment and the same procedures, so it keeps our training applicable to all situations, which is very good.
Did you know the
Generally, in terms of weather, yes, ma'am. With respect to the actual on-scene conditions, it was a little less clear. We'd been briefed that it was a phosphate mine, which understand that it used to be, and it has since been overgrown, and it is no longer active. And so we did not know if there was going to be large hills or obstructions nearby, or cavities into the earth, and or powdery substance. It turned out to just be a marsh with mud and a levee surrounding the area.
But that's something obviously you have to figure out once you get there to try to determine what you can and can't do.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. There's a lot of on-scene studying of the situation that you have to do once you get on scene, discussing it as a crew to identify what the safest way to both approach and then execute a hoist and depart. It's a lot that goes into that, and it's discussed as a crew prior to executing the evolution.
Would you say it was an area that you could possibly land in, or no?
No, sir. The firmness of the terrain was such that if a landing was attempted, the helicopter would sink into the mud very rapidly. Okay, thank you.
We're going to switch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just stand here and let you guys work your magic.
I mean, they haven't said exactly yet whether he was attempting to land to get him out. That's what they just wonder, whether he was trying to go down to land to pick, possibly help him, you know. So,
Right.
And they figured out that once he got down there, oh boy, I'm sinking in. But, I mean, you know, NTSB and all that have to figure all that out, but that's
Sure.
what everyone's just kind of curious.
Yep.
Is that how he may have gone down?
Yeah. Yep. And NTSB will definitely get that going.
Yeah, you got one more mic going, I think. Somebody else is, I don't know who's
You're the
mic.
man in the yellow hat.
The yellow hat, yeah, that's me.
There was a question about whether or not, like,
I'm not sure.
why the hat?
Well, it's a helmet.
Okay.
So,
So I was asked to ask that first question, so I was like, I'm going to ask it. Okay.
why the hat?
Why the hat?
Well, yellow goes good with the red
Visibility?
harness.
Ah, okay. Let's see. Can you clip that in your pocket or on your belt?
Sure.
Or down here? Yeah, wherever you can find a place to clip it. Yeah.
So not good at these things.
It's okay. It's all right.
You're awesome at rescuing people, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Over a little bit this way. There you go. And again, the same thing with him. You can look at me. That way,
Okay.
he's got the.
We'll ask questions, but you can look at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's ready?
So same thing, first name, last name, spell them both in your position, please.
Okay. Nathan Renshaw, Nathan Renshaw, and I'm a helicopter rescue swimmer.
And your rank.
I'm second class, petty officer second class.
So talk to us about the difficulties of you going down there as a rescue swimmer yesterday.
Yesterday was a little different than normal. So obviously, normally we operate offshore in water. I mean, we're not limited to any one incident, but this was different in that it was very muddy conditions. Initially, when we got on scene, they put me down, and I immediately got swamped up to my chest. And luckily, the helicopter was able to pull me back up and then put me in like more brushy area where I could actually maneuver around in.
Did that make it more difficult to get to the victims that were on the ground?
Sure, yeah. I mean, having to essentially crawl through all the brush so that I could spread my surface area enough so that I could actually, stay afloat, so that we could crawl over there, then figure out their medical state, and then be able to determine the best way to get them out of there.
Were you kind of surprised when you touched that surface that you sunk? Like
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a hand signal that's this is up, and usually once you touch down, that's not the first thing you do. And I immediately sunk up to my chest and gave the up signal right away.
How were they doing? Like when you finally reached them? I mean, just talk about the conditions of the people. You had
They were both in real good spirits. One gentleman was lying down, and the other was just kind of crawling around. And that was the sheriff, and he was doing well, helping out the other guy. And the gentleman that was lying prone he was complaining about some back and some neck issues, so I went ahead and littered that guy.
When you say you sunk up to your chest, were you able to tell how deep it was, or was it at chest level?
I didn't feel a bottom, but I just know that's where it stopped for me. So.
not your typical type of rescue that you do.
No, it's a little abnormal, and I mean, like I said, we've pulled people off houses, out of the water, in all sorts of environments, and that one was definitely a first for me.
But talk about the training that you guys do to prepare for abnormal instances like this one.
Sure, so we do all sorts of, whether it be a rural environment, or we're out in the water, or we're on cliff rescues, or having to swim in caves. We do all sorts of training that really correlates to, you know, on-the-job stuff where you're having to work outside the box and do abnormal things, but, you know, luckily our training doesn't limit us in any aspect.
And lives are at stake. They're relying on you to get them out of there. It's not usually you're not showing up at a good time.
Yeah, certainly, because if they would have continued to try to crawl through there, I mean, even the sheriff down there, the potential of sinking all the way down and, you know, essentially drowning in mud, it's pretty high.
I'm sure they're pretty grateful to see you arrive.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they were in very high spirits. They were joking around and everything, which, I mean, they were in a much better mood than I'd be if I got in a couple helicopter crashes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Got like 20 of these on you.
Thank you.
Don't know who is who.
Yeah, that one's me. I'm not sure who.
What kind of helicopter? Which helicopter? Is the helicopter?
So there was the first one, like, that one went down, and I mean, the sheriff was rescuing the other guy, picked him up, so they could even like standing on the side. We had email, you guys can see.
They're so predictable, you know? It's like, and the thing is, they weren't interested before
that.
but then they see